Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, and hey, happy Saturday. You made it all the way to Saturday. Maybe you're actually just coming back from the bars late at night or a club, dancing on all kinds of tables, drinking all sorts of dirty waters late in the early morning hours if you're over there in the Western Hemisphere. But I'm just waking up for some early morning action. So let's get into the live stream right over here. Of course, as always, wishing you the best of the best Saturdays that you could ever have in your life. The best that you could ever have. Literally, the best. Okay, so back now over here. Bitcoin actually doing something interesting last night, closing the day out as what could appear to be, what do you want to call this? A doji type dildo? Do you want to call it a Darth Maul dildo? Whatever the fuck you call it. Typically, this is a signal of indecision. The volume on it is of note. I'll say that. And I think that we do have a little bit of a local bottom here. Does it turn out to be like what we had over here? Only time will tell. Yes, I do think that Bitcoin goes lower before people go crazy. But hey, we have a few areas of interest to kind of mark off over here. So as always, just be aware of the higher levels that be. As long as we got dailies closing above 33.69 now, I would accept this as, I feel like we have a local low in place. Now, when I say local low, it's just that. I don't believe it's a reversal point. I don't believe, you're going back onto all-time highs from here. But we're bouncing until we're not, just like you were over here. So let's actually go into our BitMexico chart and go down to the hourly and see what we got going on. All right, so Bitcoin crawling its way back above 3,400. It looks like we are finding a little bit of support around there, a little bit of a range right here. You could actually lower this. It's more of a it is more of a range. So let's actually represent it properly. There we go. Between about 34 and about 34.20. So as long as we're kind of consolidating above there, it does offer up the potential to retest the breakdown trend line at around 3,600. Remember this blue box territory right over here. Let's get rid of that. We'll get back to that later. But this blue box territory right over here, where we essentially broke down from a couple, or I guess this was this yesterday or a couple days ago, wherever it was. Basically that, a lot of the time you will pop back and retest those zones. Now, of course, that might have already happened. You could make the argument that we already got that right here on this wick to about 35.42. A little bit of BART action last night. Now, there are a few things of note right here, right? I do want to bring up the volume statistics on this. You can see it on the right-hand side. The volume over here done on this hourly dildo was a little bit under 300 million, which is not that much in Bitcoin terms. So, no, this is not a reverse or anything like that. But it's a bounce until it's not. And I know that that's not too helpful. But just to put it in perspective, like right over here, you did literally 300 million on this red dildo right here. You did even more right here. Or this is actually a little bit of a hammer, but again, selling, this one even got sold into. This was 350. This one over here, another 300 just gets sold into immediately. So we've seen this same sort of thing before. Just be aware of that sort of metric. And again, if we do lose, what is it, like 3,400, if we close an hourly total below there, you might bounce around in this range for a little bit of time. Yes, it is the weekend, so typically speaking, we don't like break major ranges on a weekend. Yeah, you might have moves and whatnot, but you don't really break a range, so to say, or so to speak, whatever the fuck the term is. Listen, if I'm getting it wrong, just cut me some slack over here. English, it's my first language, not my best language though. Anyways, as long as you're above 30 to 40, it looks like closing hourly dollars above there. I do respect this area as your local bottom, and it already looks a little bit droopy over here. But again, weekend action is, well, it's weekend action. Now, regular markets did close on their lows on a Friday, so we'll get that back. We'll get to that a little bit later. But I do just wanted to note what we were looking at over here. There's kind of like an unspoken rule when you have a consolidation like this. You can just kind of take like the width of it and apply that to the breakout zone, and that'll be your measured move on it. Now, it is interesting to me that, it's not necessarily interesting, but it is of note that you do have a very obvious consolidation right here. This falling volume as you kind of fall into the mud over here. So again, when I look at this area over here, this next measure move will be in play as long as essentially we're still below and respecting the breakdown point. It is in place. So let's see where that points down towards, and all the way over here. Oh my God, it's like right beautifully at this next red arrow pointed towards horizontal at 20. Let's call it 2850, 2900, which is where I do believe Bitcoin is likely going to go before you get like a major bounce. Somewhere in that range, give or take a few bucks, is where I'd be looking towards. So again, if we actually were to pop back to this area right over here at around 36, I'd actually look to be a seller. The question to me is, did we already do that over here? because that was, it's just very reminiscent of what you did, all the way on these last few hour rallies that just get sold into immediately. 2 hour 21 exponential has been very mean to price action, very very mean indeed. Not being able to close any dildos above this 21. In fact, we haven't done that for quite some time, both open and close one, back over here. 3 hour even worse, and obviously it just gets worse and worse. 3 hour 21 is actually getting price action really really well. 3 hour RSI did give you a little bit of bullish divergence on the bottom here, but again, I don't really look for like bullish formations in a bearish market. I'm looking for bearish formations in a bearish market because those are going to play out a lot more steadily, and vice versa. For a bull market, I'm looking for bullish formations, not fucking bearish formations, right? They just have a higher degree of playing out. So again, if you do want to stack the odds in your favor, I would be looking for that. But yeah, we did play out a little bit of that, just like you did, over here as well. But the question to me is, okay, was that the quote unquote bounce so far? I don't have really a strong opinion on that. I have a strong opinion on, as long as we're filling out the range, as long as we're below 3,600, yeah, I am looking for shorts, and I'm looking for big shorts, especially if I can get around this range right over here. Speaking of shorts, we do have a few on the table, quite a few on the table actually. Where are they? Come on, get over here, shorts. Where are you motherfucker? There we go. Well below 40,000 now. So nope, this is just the price in the Korean won. My God, man, that's how high it is that you can get confused with that. Okay, yeah, so shorts are literally at an all-time high at 43,000. It is worth mentioning though. Remember, this is measured in coins traded, so as it is on Bitfinex. So it's measured in coins traded, which means that when coins literally cost more, when the price of Bitcoin would cost more, like $8,000, $10,000, like it was in these areas right over here. Well, it's naturally going to be lower than when the price is $3,000, which is literally more than half. So are these really comparable? Actually, no. So when people talk about, the hot, we got an all-time high in shorts, baby. Can't go higher, bro. No way. There's bearish divergence on the shorts. They're going to get wrecked. No problem. I'm going long. Well, that's fucking great. But again, this is not the best metric of doing things. Become like a meme because guys like fucking Data Dash and Coin Mastery and fucking chart guys and insert random YouTube crypto person here have just gotten a hold of this, and it's like it doesn't really matter that much. It's like a secondary, tertiary type tool. But again, when you have to really interpret this first within the context of our market cycle, which we're in a bearish market cycle. So naturally, there's going to be a higher number of shorts on the table because one, it's the profitable trade, and two, they're on the side of the trend, so they don't really have too much to worry about. Just like the hodlers when Bitcoin was going to the fucking moon, you could just buy and hold. I am buying and holding, and I won't be selling at a loss. Well, you could do that last year and get away with it because even though it was quite lazy trading, or if you even want to call it that, you could get away with it last year because you were on the side of the trend. So eventually, yeah, you would technically be right until the end of the trend. Well, over here, do we have the end of the downtrend? Nope, I wouldn't say just yet. But we do have a shit ton of shorts on the table, 43,000. But again, remember, 43,000 shorts when the price is 3,000 is like 20,000 shorts when the price is 6,000. So again, put this into context. A lot of people really bastardizing this, and it's bad. It's bad. But the shorts actually are paying a little bit of a higher rate on Finex, just for what it's worth, and also on BitMexico as well, which I actually do care a lot more about that. I care about the rate that they're paying. Let's actually show it right now. Why not? We got data. Ooh. Saw my search history. Very nasty. Anyways, yeah, shorts paying 0.064%. Yeah, that actually that literally almost tripled overnight. The last time I checked it was 0.025%. Very nasty indeed. This is getting of note. This is now going to cause people to really hold a position. To hold 1 million contracts short in a day period, you're going to be paying I don't know, about $5,000, something like that, just to hold your position. So you really got to keep in mind, like, how is that worth it or not. Longs over here, 28,000. Again, that's like just nothing. It's fucking butkus. It's not a zilch, but again, they're on the wrong side of the trend. So it's a lot easier to shake out someone when you put them under pressure immediately. But again, not too many on the table, so it doesn't really come into play all that much. Anyways, okay, so back now over here, yeah, Bitcoin's still struggling around this area, and overall, I do want to point this out again. Certainly not my favorite way of doing things, but it is on my radar right now. The good old titty sequential. We got titty 9, we got a titty 2, we got a double D. Nope, wrong type of titty. But we got a titty 9 going on right now, and this is on a 3-day dildo time frame, which does hold a lot of weight, and you will see in the past it has gotten the low right over here, but then you actually drooped down to the same low like 1, 2, 3 dildos later, and then pump up. You got the low right here actually perfectly. You got the high here, but you actually pumped up higher, and a couple dildos later you got a 9 right here, and you still, it's one of those things. I don't really like it because it's like a meme indicator, and it's like it's popularized by a very interesting YouTuber who's great. He's awesome. But it's also like, okay, it's just this easy, guys. Trading is easy. You just count to 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's like, not really. Not fucking really, man. So again, yes, this is interesting to me. Yes, it does have a semi-history of playing out, but not so much. It is also worth mentioning that we do not get a new 3-day dildo until tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern time, along with the new weekly. So it's not necessarily coming into play right here, right now. You can certainly do a lot of damage in like a 30-hour period. No doubt about that. I mean, I think we've all seen that. And overall, as we saw before, like just because you get a 9 somewhere doesn't mean like you immediately have a reaction that can. But that's also why I don't like something like this. Well, I'll just leave it at that. Okay, so let's also check out, let's go over to our Bitstamp chart. I do want to check out the good old Trollinger bands, troll, take off the exponentials. And what are we doing over here? We actually did find support on the lower 3-day Trollinger band right over here. So that is interesting to me. Perhaps we have found the support trend line of this, or sorry, we have, suppose we have found the support of this move so far. Again, it's going to come down to the weekly, though, with the 3-day and weekly closing tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern time. Weekly trend is still extremely strong. So, yes, the higher time frames do take precedence. They do take over, and they do rule the world. And we are in an incredibly strong trend right now, closing this first major dildo outside on extremely heavy volume, which is not fucking capitulation. That is continuation. And then we came back over here, retested the lower trend line, the lower band, the lower Trollinger band over here, and then continuation after that. So to me, that is indicative of an extremely strong trend and likely to continue. So yes, the 3-day saying that the interim might do a little bit of consolidation here for a dildo or two, but the higher time frames say, how about we go on some fucking red dildo blood. So again, keep in mind that and also again, I don't really like the Trollinger bounds, but I just find it interesting that they're kind of agreeing with what I'm saying on that. Weeklies over here, weekly 200 simple moving average actually getting, do you want to call that a stab? I would say that is a test right there. 31.63 is where it officially comes in around. We came about $50 shy of that. So that is good enough when you're talking about one of these higher level time frames. And yes, typically speaking, you do get a bounce off that. So does this get sustained or not? That's a real question. For now, honestly, it looks droopy as fuck, but until it actually breaks, you don't want to get too damn dogmatic with it. Overall, though, let's put on our drawing tools over here. We are starting to really, does that count as a test of the upper blue box territory? I would say yes, it does. But this thing is quite large, as you can see, and there's a reason for that. I know it kind of makes things a little bit more messy, because the range is really like 2,500 to 2,900. But there is a reason for that, and you see it best on the volume profile over here. We are pretty much in no man's land, so I don't believe Bitcoin's going to be spending much time here. If it does come back and test 36? Sorry, no. Yes, 36. That's probably going to be a massive sell because we probably will be popping back down into like at least 2,800. relatively soon after that. Again, relatively speaking, in weekly's time frames, that could be like, half a month. But yeah. So overall, this next blue box territory is still very much in play. We just kind of took a stab at the upper echelon of it near the red 200 simple moving average, a very big one in Bitcoin land. But overall, we do have the 886 Fibonacci line, the 886 Fibonacci, which actually did get the bottom in 2014. Again, I'm not saying it's going to get the bottom here, but it is interesting because it does line up with a lot of other things. It lines up with the volume profile kind of coming in around here after not doing anything. Just does that remind you of 6,000? Certainly it does. We have some nice horizontals coming in around here, and also the measured move that we were looking at before from that formation that we began this stream with, going all the way back now over here. Let's maybe go to like a 4 hour and put this guy on. Yeah, this one over here, the measure move on that guy was dropping like literally right into that blue box territory as well. If I pull it out, yeah, right over here, so 29-ish. So keep that in mind. That I do strongly believe that Bitcoin will be getting, actually in there. And that will be a legitimate reversal point. At least in my opinion, it will likely be a legitimate reversal point. Now, does that mean it will be a reversal point? No, it does not mean that at all. In fact, I am completely uncomfortable with saying anything like that. And if you ask my opinion, not technical analysis, but my opinion, I actually do think that Bitcoin comes down lower, just because we're going to look at them in a second, but the world markets are starting their actual decline as well. And they have been correlated on big moves as they are considered both risk on assets. So again, when it comes down to it, though, I will, if we do get a good reaction off this, I will treat it, as a strong bounce, potential reversal until basically told otherwise. But for now, it does look like Bitcoin wants to like formally come in there. Starting to do a lot of volume to the downside over here, but again, that's just telling you that the trend is quite strong indeed. Volume increase, you have your consolidation over here, and then once you break your 6,000 level, it's like everyone started to join the party. Okay, so I'm gonna put on the 10 simple moving average. I'm curious where he's coming down around. Is he still harassing price action right over here? Yeah, 10 simple on the weekly is getting. I mean, it's well below 6,000. It's nowhere near price action though. Same thing with the yellow 21 exponential. Those will be getting new ticks by tomorrow. And again, that's also telling us that all these major resistances are starting to get below that critical 6,000 level. Well, what does that tell you? That tells you that there's going to be a lot of shit to get through if you do want to get up and back above 6,000, which, yes, I am a long-term believer in Bitcoin. I do believe it's going to get some of the crazier numbers over a long period of time, but a long period of time. I think a lot of people think that this is just going to it's a Wyckoff spring and we're just going to go right on back up to all-time highs. Just huddle your cones. They want your cones cheap. These dirty bankers, not really. Not really. Again, this is probably going to take a lot more time than I think anyone's really prepared for or even cognizant of. I think a lot of people think that this is going to be like a year or less. No, it's very unlikely to be. 3-day dillos are death crossed, and they are confirmed on a death cross. We have a reaction from the death cross, is what it looks like to me. Yes, you are getting that relatively far away from price action, just like you did in 2014. Which is the only time that Bitcoin's ever got a 3-day dillo death cross, the green and the purple right over here. And the reaction right over here, quite nasty, sending you down another, what was it, from wick to wick, about 52%. So again, be aware of that. If we were to head down 52% from here, I'm not saying that we are going to, but if we were, just as something to go off of, using that last high as a measuring point, that would send us right into the lower 2000s actually. So that is interesting. I don't have too much pointing in the lower 2000s, although I do see that there is a support right over here. Yeah, around 24s is my lower bound of this blue box territory. So yeah, perhaps that makes sense. But again, these sorts of things are not some sort of magical fucking Harry Potter bullshit. It is just, in my experience, coming from my background as being a market maker in equity options on New York Stock Exchange Arc, I know a lot of the bigger algorithms and a lot of the bigger bot traders, they will just program their sort of algos to respect these sorts of major exponentials, because it'll tell their system, okay, do we intensify the selling? Do we not? How do we do this? However they interpret it from there, that's going to be dependent upon the algorithm. But overall, that's going to be a big signal for a lot of them as they do get on the other side of price action. Of course, the 2-day dildo death cross was a little bit of a better one, where you have price action all bunched up right over here, but it didn't play out for another a month and a half. And daily one was probably the best example of when everything's bunched up right over here, the green and the purple, all the price action and an immediate reaction. So So again, very, 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 very nasty. In my experience, you don't just like undo a death cross immediately. I mean, we've been death crossed on the daily ever since May, and it's like it's nowhere fucking near getting undeath crossed. By the way, daily 100 exponential well below 6,000 now, and the 200 exponential will be getting below 6,000 probably in the next couple weeks, barring any run back above 6,000. So again, just more and more things getting below that critical area, suggesting that we're going to be spending a long fucking time in this range. Or sorry, maybe not in like this specific range right over here, but like well below 6,000 is what I do mean. Anyways, okay, so let's get back on over to let's go check out regular markets. Or sorry, let's check out GBTC first. GBTC doing like it was okay. So we talked about what GBTC was likely to do. I'm not like happy about this, but it's very fucking nasty. Closing on its lows, heavy volume, increasing volume, just another gap down on this last support right over here. So we spoke about it the other day that as soon as you broke $4.47, you're likely to come down here. Well, the next day was a little bit droopy, and then yesterday, Friday, we finally got down there. This is where things get a little bit more scary though, because you really don't have much holding it up after that. So you got this point right over here. You got this point right over here. So this next trend line right here, yeah, it's very likely to bounce, but I want to see a much better reaction on a bounce. When you close a daily doodle like this, which is basically just selling, heavy volume, by the way, to me, that is more indicative of continuation likely to occur. Would you get a small bounce first? Perhaps, but overall, I think that this is very likely to break. So again, it's a long way. It's a really long way. So if you were to get down to about $2.75, that would probably put Bitcoin around the $2,600 mark, something like that. This is starting to get very real with GBTC, which has been a good leading indicator for Bitcoin itself. In fact, I can get rid of like this whole chart. We've been charting this thing for a long time, and like I guess I'm just nostalgic about all this price action over here. Again, from a higher level perspective, it's not really even until you get back above like shit. I mean, like $8 now that you've even done anything interesting on this GBTC asset. So. Yeah, keep that in mind. Let's go check out the historical volatility index. That is currently hovering around $6.90. It's perking back up again. So yes, we did resolve that consolidation the other day to the downside. It's telling us that we're getting ready to trend again, is what it looks like to me. Again, Bitcoin, when it's trending like super hard, like back in last November, if you guys remember that, when Bitcoin actually went up, it was around the 16 mark, 16, 17, 20. Well, now it's around 7. So we can certainly do this up a lot more. And selling climaxes are typically a lot more intense than buying climaxes. So if you thought that last year was crazy, a capitulation event, a selling climax event would be much more crazy comparatively speaking. So yeah, let's go check out Mr. Beaterall. How's he doing? How you doing, Mr. Beaterall? Have you held up well? Well, you're double-digit shitcoin now, and now you're using $100 as resistance. So good on that one. Did close yesterday as a nice what do you want to call this? Hammer dildo, doji dildo, whatever the fuck you call it. A reversal is a signal of indecision, perhaps even reversal on pretty good volume. And do we have continuation? We do. Yeah, we do. But getting rejected from 100 so far. So. Again, same thing as Bitcoin. It's put in a local low until it has not. It does look like it actually wants to spend a little bit of time here. So, again, let's go back on over to Bitcoin and see what he's doing. Yeah, just still struggling to hold the hourly 21 weekend action. Just really fucking annoying is what it comes down to. I do want to go check out CMEs. Where do they close? That's going to likely be the next big trade, and this is very revealing right here. CMEs have closed at 33.20 area. So if you guys have noticed, every weekend we talk about the CMEs and where they closed, and typically speaking, the best trade for the week comes after we find out where that closes. So let me explain. When we know the closure of the CMEs, we can typically find a really good point to actually make a trade off of, as if price action for the spot exchanges, like the BitMEXs, the Binances, the Finexes, whatever the fuck you want to call them. I call them the SAFU exchanges. If it opens up a little bit higher, typically speaking, you do have a bounce. Or sorry, typically speaking, when you do fill the gap, you have a little bit of a bounce, so you can play a scalp there. Or more importantly, after that bounce, when you come back down, that's almost all. I shouldn't say almost always, but typically a sell. It's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Blah 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 blah. Go fuck yourself, SEC. But Anyways, if we were to open below, the kind of the same sort of scenario applies, except for you're probably going to pop back up, fill the gap at around 32.90, and then start a major fall. So either which way, it's probably going to set you up with a pretty damn good trade. Again, you're gonna have to wait until they open up at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on Sunday, so got a few days to go. That's typically why you don't get like amazing price action during the weekends, as you're basically just filling out ranges. Like you might have some nasty wicks going each and every way, but it's rangy action is rangy action. So for now, I'm not really looking to be in any sort of major position. I just want to wait until that happens, and that's probably gonna be the next big trade for me. If I do want to add on to more shorts, which I actually closed most of my shorts. Not most of my shorts. Still have my short from 6,300, but I did close some of my other shorts in this range right over here last night, because sleeping is like, I really want to go long on sleeping is what it really comes down to. Let's see. Do we have anything to be aware of on our oscillators over here? Yeah, you're going to hear all the fucking people talking about bullish divergence. We have bullish divergence. We have fucking bullish divergence. We're going back up. It's like, that's great. But the problem with bullish divergence is, you had a great example right over here. It's 1, 2, 3 drives, even like a perfect one right over here. You pop back up, test the edge of the neutral zone, and you say, nope, not today. Go fuck yourself, and back down. So again, bullish type shit in a bearish market are not what I'm looking to play. I'm only looking to close shorts, not to long shit. This is so silly. People always talk to me. Okay, again, I'm not trying to be your dad or fucking tell you how to trade or anything like that. That's not my intention. That's really, really far away from my intentions. Jesus fucking Christ. But you're free to do whatever you want. But just to share my own experience with that, it's like you can get on the side of the trend, which has been your friend for the past 3 weeks. It's been a really great friend as well, by the way. 50% down, just saying. And also, if we go to if you literally just realize that, hey, the last 12 months has literally been all the same, then it's about 83%. But keeping that in mind, it's one of those things where all you have to do is get on the side of the trend. But people want to play fucking bounces for fucking $50, $100 and put themselves at the risk of a massive, extremely girthy red dildo. And I've seen a lot of people go broke that way. So again, just be careful. I'm not looking to buy right here. I'm not looking to buy until Bitcoin gets back above 6,000, or we get something that is just very obviously capitulation. Do we have anything that's very obviously capitulation right now? No, in fact, we do not. We have nothing resembling capitulation. Again, what does capitulation look like? Well, first things first, it doesn't give you 3 fucking chances to buy the bottom. Markets are not that generous. Second thing second, you need the volume to be extremely high, and just overshadowing anything that Bitcoin has done, in this market cycle. Over here, when Bitcoin's price was literally at an average of about 7,000 or 8,000, you did more volume than you did over here when Bitcoin had an average price of about 4,000. So literally 2 times. So this over here, this volume over here, this volume metric is 2 times this, more than 2 times that, because the price of Bitcoin, again, this is measured in coins traded, was about 2 times as well. Keep in mind, a great example of capitulation was right over here in 2014, where you have massive fucking volume on this dildo right here, and a reaction that doesn't give you a chance to buy the low, and like anytime, like ever again. You bounce up 42%, 42.5% almost fucking immediately. And yes, you grind that area for a little bit of time, but you never get down to this fucking low ever fucking close again. And if you're talking about like the dildo body, the whole fucking dildo, that's like literally 69% move in the span of what was really just a couple of days. So over here, when you look at this, does anything over here resemble capitulation? Fuck no, it does not. To give you an example of what a bounce of 69% would look like from here, literally 4,000 or 3,400, 59% bounce would put you all the way back at around 5,500. I mean, that's like a very powerful move. So again, you're gonna fucking know when it happens. This is not it. Again, going over here to the MBT signal, an external factor, we can look at this guy, and this oscillator has been getting the tops of Bitcoin's market cycles like perfectly every fucking time. Every time in the history of Bitcoin, like fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for 7. It's beautiful. Now every time it calls those tops anytime that you get above where my cursor is right now at around the 150 mark, and then after that it typically resets and calls the bottom when the oscillator gets to where my cursor is now, around the 50 mark. Well, as you can see, we're like literally in the middle right there. So that would also be suggesting that Bitcoin has plenty of room to move to the downside as well. Also, if we were to just do a little bit of like some very lazy type analysis, which I think is interesting, it's interesting to go over, but I don't like putting too much weight on it. We can look at this. We can say, hey, we can do a percentage drawdown over here. The whole percentage drawdown from top to bottom in 2014 was about 85.5%. Well, we can do the same thing over here, right? Whoops. And draw this down. Where would it put us down if we were taking 85.5%? It would literally put us right in the thick of this next blue box territory, right around 2,600. Am I saying that Bitcoin is going to go exactly the same percentage amount down as it did in 2014 as it will in 2018? No, not at all. But it's just something to go off of, saying that, hey, it's completely reasonable that very likely going lower based on a lot of things. Not only that, but again, taking everything off and putting on the volume profile, you can see very easily that there is very little holding this thing up really from where we are currently to this 24 to really 2,800 level is where to be aiming my cannons. After that, there's nothing holding you up from about 1,100 to 1,200, which yes, we can go over that idea right now. But basically going over here to the monthly, it's best seen here. Let me take off the volume profile. Hey, get off there, you fuck. There we go. And as you can see here, it's an unspoken rule that the high of your prior market cycle becomes the low of your next market cycle. And I know that a lot of people aren't happy about this. And I'm not looking for it. Again, my sort of technical analysis, I don't say we're definitely going to this area. My opinion can say that, but I don't trade my opinion. What I can say is, hey, 24 to 2,800 should be a potential reversal zone, and I'll give it the respect that it deserves. But if that area fails, then yes, I'd start looking towards 1,100 to 1,300-ish area, right around here, just your prior market cycle high. If Bitcoin does start closing, not just wicking like you did over here, but closing monthly dildos below that area, then yes, you got a big fucking problem. As from a technical analysis standpoint, it is FACKED fact. So again, we are actually breaking the green 55 exponential right over here. What's next after that? Well, what's neck? This cyan line right over here would be what's next, but actually we just don't have enough price action history to go off of. We have to go to the BLX index for this, and let's see where it comes in around. Look at where the cyan is coming in around. It's coming in right around 2,350, 2,400-ish area. So yes, look at that. Another thing pointing in that the coveted blue box territory between about 24 and 2,800. So again, quite a large area, but it is certainly of note in my opinion. And that's really the next one that I'm looking towards. No matter how we kind of react in this current area, going back to BitMexico, it's already looking droopy right here. That's a nasty point. But again, do you typically have moves over weekends? Not really. Especially if you put in a dildo like we did on the 12-hour right over here. A nice long-legged doji Darth Maul dildo right there, and then no fall through just yet. So that is interesting. If we were to get back above about 3,600, that's where things get interesting. So here's how I'd be playing it is, again, if we break 3,600 if we break 3,600 to the upside, well, that would kind of take this all out. But as long as we're respecting that area's resistance, I would love to sell that area. If it takes that area out, yeah, I take a few dollar loss. Again, it's just a trade. That's all it is. By the same token, if we were to take out this area right over here at around 32.30, well, I would immediately probably put on a few shorts as well. Let's go check out regular markets. I'm going to get on that, then I'll probably let you go. And we got SPYs over here. SPY, again, closing the week out on its lows, actually. We spoke about how this week was likely to be a range. It was quite a big range between about 263 and 280-ish area. We knew that as soon as you got this rejection right over here in that kind of hangman dildo and the follow through on the second day, that was a very clear signal that it's time to get bearish on this. And especially when you're closing the weeks on your lows, like that usually causes the public to panic, the retailers to panic, and they typically do sell on Monday. So that's why you do get a lot of crashes happening on Monday. You will notice also that the green 55 and the purple 200 are getting extremely close. That's a death cross. If that does happen, well, the last time you got that, it was a nice 15 or 20% down move in SPY territory. I am bearish on this from the longer term. Overall, I do believe that we're going to be going down to at least 240-ish area, maybe even 215, 220 after that. Major bearish divergence on the monthly RSI, and Stokes over here, not fucking good, man. So back on over to Bitcoin. I'll wrap this bitch up, and then I'll let you go. Okay, so weekend action, very, very fun, very, very boring. But again, I would not complicate things right here. As long as we're above 32.30, don't really want to be playing like a full-on breakdown. As long as we're below 3,600, I want to be looking for probably a sell low around that area. But again, if we start closing hourly dollars above 3,600, I take that position off and I reassess. Maybe it gets extended out a little bit further. Again, it is weekend territory though, so I'm really just more concerned with where the CMEs open up on Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. So again, guys, that's going to do it for this morning's video. I look forward to see you guys in the next one. Hope everyone has a beautiful rest of your Saturday, and take care.